When your dad is Richard Petty, you tend to listen.
Make room, Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. There's another 7-time champ. Jimmie Johnson wins his 7th NASCAR Sprint Cup championship.
So yeah, here's that video y'all have been looking for. My thoughts on the whole Jimmie Johnson buying into Petty Enterprises, Petty GMS story. So first off, I want to give a shout out to Mary Strippy. That was a hell of a fun FaceTime. Good luck at basketball. Take some bomb-ass TikTok-worthy videos for me and post them. And feel free to follow both of my accounts, both this one, Mark Oliveris on YT, and my main with your spam account. And, you know, give your TikTok and Instagram to Kayla. I mean, I think I found her on Instagram. I'm not sure if it's the right one. But if she has TikTok, be sure to give her both of my accounts. So, anyways, so we're all set like Jimmie Johnson. Do 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 do. Okay, I better stop it right there and not play that song for too long, because then the copyright bastards will be after my ass. And I'm not talking about on YouTube or Instagram. Well, maybe Instagram, but not as much. But TikTok is where it's gonna be the fucking problem. But yeah, that was the Richard Petty song from NASCAR 2001 by EA Sports. If it's in the game, it's in the game where it's the 2000 this is the 2000 season cars, teams, and drivers and tracks. And Richard Petty's in that game. They treat him like a full-time driver in the PS1 version, but treat him only like, you know, a special unlockable, not unlockable because he's already available, but they treat, in the PS2 version, they treat him a lot better, like, you know, a special edition driver who doesn't race at all, no matter who you pick, unless you play as him yourself. They do the same shit NASCAR Thunder 2002 on the PS1 and its PS2 counterpart. On PS1, they treat him like a full-time driver that's been there up to 2001, when he actually retired in 1992. But on PS2, they don't do that unless you play as him yourself. So, I mean, in Thunder 04, it's with him, it's free game. You know, with the Ally Rival system, you can just make friends with his son Kyle, which is what we're going to be doing this winter. If we're able to get, like, you know, a better computer, you know, get the, get enough money and get wealthy enough for my mom and I to get new computers as far as to do that series. So episode by episode. But yeah, so therefore Jimmie Johnson and Richard Petty, are two 7-time champions, are going to be Noah Gregson's bosses. So here's my thoughts on that. So also, before I start with my thoughts, this is for you, Blue Jimmy 48 fan YT, aka Brandon Pupa Neto. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your last name correctly. My man Toxic Fungi 13, and of course my boy Alex Ferrante, aka Space Metal 248. Like, probably two of the greatest Hendrick fans of all time. Brandon and Alex, and of course I think the greatest Jimmie Johnson fan of all time is Toxic Fungi 13. So this goes out to all three of you. Now here's a little funny story, you know, the whole Johnson Petty connection. You see, after Dale Sr. died in 2001, I was stuck without a favorite, and right after my first race, the rest of 2001 and all of 2002, I was like stuck. I didn't, because the one I picked that I was Hall of Fame worthy was gone in the first race of the season, which was my first race ever. So I had a hard time coping. I had a hard time picking. And then, you know, when I found out who Kyle Petty was, you know, about, you know, his story about losing his son, you know, and, the year before Dale Jr. lost his dad, you know. And then, of course, you know, the whole connection with Dale and Richard being, you know, 7-time champions, and how the Pettys and Earnhardt, outside of Dale and Richard, never got along, you know. Kyle running a Earnhardt protest car at Dover in 1996 because he was upset and mad that, you know, Dale Sr. was getting away with stuff that Kyle Petty and the other 41 drivers were getting penalized for, that Earnhardt Sr. was, you know, stuff like that, you know. But then those two families came together when Kyle lost his son in 2000, and then in 2001, Dale Jr. lost his dad in a pre-race show that saw Dale Sr. making up with Kyle Petty like he knew it was going to be the last ride. Like, we're not going to do this conspiracy theory bullshit in a news update video like this. But anyway, yeah, so therefore, and then of course Kyle gets in a crash, a nasty crash of his own at the Food City 500. That was, I got caught up in a tangle up between Robbie Gordon and Ward Burton, hit the wall the wrong way, just like Dale Sr. 2001, Kyle Petty's 2003 freak accident at Bristol before I liked him didn't even look that bad. But, TV doesn't do it justice if you watch that shit in real time. Or for those who were at that 2003 Food City 500, you would know that it looks worse than looks worse. It looked worse in real time than it did in person, because the way he hit that left front and the outside wall was way harder in real time. It was just as bad hitting it in the driver's side door. So, and you could tell that when Fox came back from commercial, he had a hard time climbing out of the car. He was walking, but then had to get put on a stretcher. If y'all remember, if you're old enough as me to remember that, considering Kyle spun out like once or twice in that race, maybe even 3 times. Raced all the way up to the top 5, was like, pitting with the leaders, and then that happened. And so then, considering, he had a cracked vertebrae initially, according to Jeff Hammond, next week at Texas, where I'll get to that in a couple seconds. It found out after that crash, they took him to the Bristol Medical Center or something like that. Gina Lesko said when they were doing the broadcast, they were loading him into the stretcher after they tucked him over in the care center. I mean, it was more than that, so he had to take him to the hospital. So originally it was just a cracked vertebrae, which wasn't even that bad. So therefore, the original plan was that cracked vertebrae is nothing. So I'm gonna race anyway, because that's all I got. But then what he realized when he got in the car for like a practice or a qualifying session, normally if you hurt your ribs up here. So yeah, he broke his ribs, but normally if you hurt it up here, it's not even that bad. You can race through that shit. But it was right back here in an unusual spot where you could still continue to race even in pain. He's like, nope, I can't do this, so I'm putting that no-talent trash can, Christian Fittipaldi, in my car that, he and, Richard later used to screw over John Andretti out of the 43, which is a conversation we're going to save for another day. So, yeah, Kyle ended up breaking his ribs in that crash at Bristol with Ward Burton and Robbie Gordon. And so then, he comes back at Talladega the next week, misses the big one, and finishes 11th. Just almost got a top 10. So 2 weeks later, I just thought, well, California Speedway, Napa Auto Parts 500, I'm going to pick Kyle Petty as my favorite driver. And then the next year, it was the Jimmie Johnson show, even though he missed the championship by 10 points to Kurt Busch. And then, of course, he was in contention to beat Tony Stewart for the 2005 title, but then tire problems plagued him. So, therefore, and then 06, he won his first championship, and, which I was okay with, because, but then when he started winning 07, 08, there's like, what the fuck is this guy done? And then 09 is like, Jesus Christ, stop stinking up the show like Terry Labonte, which was his teammate when, he got in there in 2002, and in 2010, okay, I'm fucking done with this shit. The translation, I got sick and tired of Jimmie Johnson winning too much, and so that's why I used to, like me and half the NASCAR fan base outside of his fans despised him, because he won too much, and we got sick and tired of it, and we wanted to see someone else win for a change. So growing up as a Kyle Petty fan, and later Juan Montoya, I could not stand Jimmie Johnson, Sorry about that. I could not stand Jimmie Johnson because I got tired of him winning all the time. I mean, that's part of American sports. You're gonna get if a team or an athlete is that good and they win all night, you're gonna get tired of it. We saw it with Shaq and Kobe and the Lakers when I was growing up a Spurs fan with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and then later Manu and Tony when they were coming in and Robinson was headed out. I mean, NFL fans have seen it with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. I'm pretty sure MLB fans have seen it. I really don't know much about baseball, so I don't know who are all the dynasties that won all the time. So maybe it was Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees. I don't fucking know. I'm just taking a wild guess at this point. NHL, I don't know nothing about it. So who was the one team and athlete that got won all the time that everybody got tired of in the MLB and NHL? Whatever it is, in NASCAR, it was Jimmie Johnson and Hendrick Motorsports, which was the equivalent of Shaq and Kobe and the Lakers. And of course, LeBron and Wade in Miami in the early 2010s, Toxic Fungi's a Miami Heat fan. We all know that. Considering it's not that I didn't hate the Heat as much. No, I didn't hate the Heat. I just fucking hated LeBron, and I still do. When he retires, I'm not gonna fucking miss him one bit. So therefore, I just got tired of LeBron winning all the time, As a Spurs fan, when I was really little, I got sick of Shaq and Kobe not only winning all the time, but also to kicking our asses in the playoffs to do it, Except in 99 and 03 when we took them down to win our first and second title, And then 2013, we took them down. I mean, people back then say, "Ooh, but the Spurs wouldn't have won that series without Kobe if they had Kobe." And Lakers didn't had Kobe. Like Lakers had Kobe, and Kobe wasn't hurt. Well, back then you might have been wrong. 19-year-old me would have told you would have been wrong, but the current version of me would have agreed with you. It would have been for this reason, though. Not saying that the Lakers would have beat the Spurs with Kobe in that series, but I think, it would have been nice to see Kobe and Tim duke it out in the playoffs one last time in 2013. That would have been nice. But the 19-year-old me was younger and was more uptight, so, he probably would have laughed you off saying, bullshit, even if Kobe was playing, it wouldn't make a difference. Spurs would still win. But, you know what I'm saying? That's part of American sports. Jimmie Johnson in NASCAR was the equivalent of Tom Brady and the Patriots in the NFL, even though I fucking despise the NFL, the most overhyped overrated sport in America. And Jimmie Johnson and was the equivalent of the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, and the Heat with LeBron and Wade. I mean, Wade I had no problem with. The Heat I had no problem with. It's LeBron was the main problem I had, because fuck that guy. But that's part of American sports. And, the NASCAR saw that they got tired of it themselves, so they changed the format. They changed the format of the chase, and 2011, I think they changed it. It worked for the first 2 years. Tony Stewart ended Johnson's streak, and Brad Keselowski won. It was refreshing to see a different champion, not named Johnson, for the 18, 19-year-old version of me at the time. Well, no, the 17, 18-year-old version of me at the time in 2011, 2012. I mean, by the time I turned 19, and, when, being, long after Cal Petty left, I was a Montoya fan, and even, yes, I was still tired of Jimmy because he was still winning a lot, and then he won his 6th title in 2013, and I remember how pissed I was when he won it, and heading out there that year, and adding fuel to the fire, Montoya was leaving, but then when I found out Austin Dillon, who I liked with his brother Ty since Donnie 12 was coming up to the ranks, I kind of caught a break, and I kind of, got a lucky break with him. I, picked up him as my favorite when Ty later moved up in 2017. Yeah, and then 2014, 2015, it was refreshing to see a new champion again. Even I didn't approve of the 2014 one, but it was like lesser of two evils, Harvick, considering even before Jimmy started his winning ways, I never liked Harvick to begin with anyway. So, yeah, and just like LeBron in basketball and NASCAR, when Harvick retires, I will not miss him. I will not miss him one bit. Yeah, so, and then 2015, it was, Kyle Busch. I mean, it was a great comeback story. Missed the first 11 races due to an injury, and a race he probably shouldn't have been in, Ask Johnny Benson and Steve Park in the Busch Series era, knowing a thing or two about participating in a race that you shouldn't be in, you have no right to be in, and then it comes back and bites you in the ass. But at least Kyle Busch, made up for it by going on a tear when he came back, that summer in the Cup Series, and then won the championship. And then the last of Jimmy's titles, 2016, it wasn't as bad as, I still kind of didn't like him at the time, but I didn't hate him as much then like I did in years past before that. But it was nice, being a lifelong Dale Sr. and RCR fan, to see a new 7-time champion. I kind of didn't like it, but at the same time, I just said, it is what it is. Because by then I was 22 years old. I was starting to grow out of those habits. And then by 2017, I still didn't like him. But I went from, despising him to hating him to, not being crazy about him, to not, disliking him and not hating him. But then in 2017, little did I know that MBNA Platinum 400, as a Ty Dillon fan, that race still hurts, considering, he was 20 laps away from pulling off the upset on speed as a rookie, a week after his older brother got his first win in what was 14, 15, and 16, and his 4th full-time Winston Cup season, But Little did I know that, Ty Dillon's misfortune in the NBA Platinum 400 was going to be Jimmie's last win, because the next week at Pocono, he lost his brakes going into turn one and hit the wall hard, and that's what most people say. That's the crash that really changed him, and he was never the same again. He was never competitive again, and I was loving it at first, I was loving seeing him not be competitive no more. But then when he tried to go for the win in the Brickyard 400 with the blown engine, when it was, getting close to darkness because Indianapolis doesn't have lights and it was raining on and off all day. And if y'all remember that race, he tried to go for the win as the engine was blowing up, and then he wrecked it. But then that's when my reaction was in awe. My reaction wise, I was in awe, and that's when I began to appreciate him more. That's when I began to appreciate him more. So therefore, after that, I just wanted to see him win at least, knowing that he was on his way out soon. I wanted to see him win at least one more before leaving, and sadly, he never did, and then he had to miss his final Brickyard 400 due to the COVID-19 era in 2020, and then, Alex Ferrante himself was supposed to go to his last race in 2020 at the Chuck Report 500, which was 2 years ago today, considering it's been 2 years since we lost the greatest game show host of all time, Alex Trebek. This is Jeopardy, so that's a conversation we're going to save for another day. So therefore, Chase won the title, as we all know, and, I know Space Metal Ferrari still doesn't feel like that was a legitimate title, considering, of course, all the stuff that happened, everybody else's thing. Of course, he wasn't able to go because, even though he was supposed to, but those plans went out the window. He knows more about it than I do, and he can explain it better than me. So, unfortunately, hopefully one day he'll see Chase win a title in person. It's only a matter of time, so, therefore. But if we remember that 2020 Coke 600... that didn't have fans because of the early stages of COVID, and, going places wearing masks, and, if you're going to go outside and be with your friends, you have to stand 6 feet away, 6 feet or more apart, all that other bullshit we had to go through back then. Yeah, remember, he finished second. It was a feel-good story, but then there was, the luck of the post-prime, the dumb luck of the post-prime Jimmie. He had second place taken away because he failed post-race inspection. And let me needless to say, I wanted to see him win that race initially, but after he failed post-race inspection, I am so glad he did not win that race, considering how much that would have, how much more that would have hurt, him failing inspection the way he did. Considering if he was going to fail inspection, at least finish second, kind of soften the blow a little bit with the way you were going at that time when we were not being competitive no more. But yeah, anyway, I know he was giving IndyCar shot, I know that kind of didn't work out for him, and we thought he was done racing altogether full time after the initial announcement, but then here comes a bombshell that came out of nowhere, and sadly, the teams cannot, the media sadly can't let the teams make these announcements on their own, because, it's like they're keeping a secret. The teams are doing a good job keeping the secret, but, the media is the one, or the other dumbasses that, leak these secrets to the point where there's no point of, the team keeping a secret, considering, the idiots at the covering NASCAR with the media is, ruining the surprise, and making the announcements, less important when it comes to reaction-wise, Why can't, as a lifelong Petty and Childress fan, why can't the teams make these announcements on their own and let them, have them keep them their secrets to themselves, like they used to? Considering, we were going to hear this announcement regardless, but, the stupid-ass media leaking that shit is probably what took away the excitement much, it's other than Jimmie fans, obviously, but, either way, as a lifelong Petty fan who actually used to hate Jimmie, I'm actually pretty excited about this. Johnson's going to bring good chemistry as a car owner, let alone as a part-time driver. It'll help Noah and his confidence as a Winston Cup rookie in 2023. It'll make Eric Jones get better in the 43. We don't know what number Johnson's going to use when he races. I'm hoping that, Hendrick lets him use the 48. And if that's the case, maybe, Bowman can go back can use the 25. I know, most people say 88, but, because there's mostly people associated with Junior. But to all you dumbass younger fans out there, the real number 88, if anything, will always be Dale Jarrett and Robert Yates Racing. And for Junior, if anything, he'll always be number 8 in my book. You know, the real 88 will always be Dale Jarrett and Robert Yates Racing, and Junior's real number will always be the 8. So it goes to show you younger fans how old I am. So yeah, so therefore, and if based, while we're on that topic of how old I am compared to the younger generation, the 25 is based on how old I am, because it was Jerry Nadeau and Joe Nemechek's number, and then later Brian Vickers when they kicked Joe out. So, and to be fair, Joe was only there because they kicked Jerry out. That's the only reason why Joe was there, because they kicked Jerry out. So, yeah, so for old time's sake, go back to the 25 if, they don't want to use the 88 and, if Johnson used the 48. But if they don't do that, I would say if the New York Money Team Racing, if Floyd Mayweather doesn't return, forever, like they don't return, period, then use the 44, because we can't use the 45, for a Petty car, like, Cal Petty used to, or even Adam before Adam was killed, because 2311's going to use it with Tyler Reddick, Trying to think, what's another Petty number they haven't used in a while? 44 is another one if the money team doesn't return, but we'll just have to see. I mean, man, in a way, this is going to be good for Gregson, Having two seven-time champions as his mentor is going to help him, boost his confidence, and maybe will help him start winning races and competing for championships down the line. I'm not saying he's going to be a playoff contender in 2023, but I feel like he could pull a win or two out of his ass in 2023. Another way I see it coming, sadly, is like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, aka baby Daytona Dega, or fuel mileage, or weather, shortened races, something like that. And that's the only way I see Noah Gragson winning his first Winston Cup race as a rookie in 2023. And that's the only way. That's also the only way I see Ty Dillon winning his first race at Spire Motorsports in number 77. I mean, his first race being his first of his Winston Cup career. So therefore, I know you guys have been anticipating this video for the longest time, so here you are. So starting tomorrow, we'll be doing the Sandy Ridge 2022 finale. It'll be 2 days, wrapped up in one whole video. We're gonna do day 1 tomorrow. After work, we're gonna do day 1 tomorrow. After work tomorrow, we're gonna do day 1, and then day 2, the very last, the day in Sandy Ridge, it's gonna be 70 degrees, and so I'm gonna try to sneak in a few TikToks along the way, and then after we park the bus, will be the final time on Thursday. We'll be doing the 2022 season comes to an end slideshow of Sandy Ridge TikToks, and we'll probably use the second version of that sound for, general fun in the sun and adventures in autumn TikToks, whether it be the neighborhood or elsewhere we went. But yeah, so maybe hopefully tonight, depending on how I feel and how much time we have, we'll hopefully catch up on the Casey Atwood installment of the Goldbergs. And then with it raining this Friday, we're gonna do the Matt Kenseth installment of Villains and the Greg Booty Biffle installment, the season 1 finale of Ultraviolet afterwards, And Saturday's going to be the first weekend without NASCAR. So I remember back when I was a kid, I would dread, 11 weeks after the Ford 400 with no racing. But nowadays, I just don't care, honest now. But wait a second. Next Saturday is going to be the season 1 finale of Poker Game Night. So yeah, I wanted to get that out of the way. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. This Saturday, I think we might be going to breakfast with my grandparents, but I'll have to see what they say. But yeah, so therefore, we're going to have all day. I mean, if we don't do Goldbergs tonight, then we're going to do it Saturday if we go to breakfast. It'll give me an excuse to be up early and watch the Goldbergs, So therefore, depends on how I feel. And then whether we watch the Goldbergs tonight or it's Saturday, we're going to be catching up on the Rusty Wallace installment of, The Really Loud House. And then Sunday, we'll be catching up on, the Mark Martin installment of Welcome to Flash. So therefore, and then Monday we hit the reset button and do it all over again. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, pace yourself, bring your ass, be you. You have to try harder to do less. You can't deport a dream. Sometimes the worst things in life lead to the best things. Always been on the side of love. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sometimes you just got to be present. You never fail until you stop trying, and never pays to worry too much about things. Another day on time, another day to shine. It's never too late to turn the day around. Sometimes you just got to be present. You never fail until you stop trying. It never pays to worry too much about things. It's never too late to turn the day around. I knew I had it in the wrong order. Another day on time, another day to shine. Sometimes you just got to flock yourself, trust your instinct, stand up for yourself, and not back down to anyone. And all for one, one for all. I totally fucked that one up like Fabricio, goddamn Alberto. Take care, everyone. Good night. I will see you all tomorrow and Thursday when we record the 2-day, one whole video Sandy Ridge finale. And after that, it's off to the cold weather, new and approved, the never before seen content that you're going to be seeing this winter that I've explained multiple times. You know, the only time I'll be coming out on Sandy Ridge this winter is if YouTube work needs to be done. We're going to be doing Christmas with brother stuff with Justin Rogerson. Probably Christmas videos in general with my mom and grandmother decorating around in the family room. And maybe another Christmas Eve video with the Alvarezes. Depends on what they're doing. And maybe we'll do a Thanksgiving vlog with, my Titi Nancy, my Thead's sister. And if the Alvarezes are gathering again this year. But we'll just have to wait and see. So, see you later, everyone.